Hello, welcome to White Hat Riddles. It's me, Angel.
And it's me, Krasi, again.
And today we have some very special guests with us, Victor and Evgeni from CTF Bazaar. We're going to have a chat about how to implement capture the flag events and how does this help developing cybersecurity culture around the globe. Welcome.
Welcome, guys. Thanks for being part of this podcast episode. Evgeni, let's start with you. I would like to talk about first. We know each other for many years because of the cybersecurity industry. I know you for developing the Bulgarian cybersecurity team with the cybersecurity challenge. Can you maybe share a bit more about the challenge as in the beginning of the conversation?
Yep, absolutely. I think we met quite some years ago when we were still studying in the university, right? Soon after that, I moved to Germany, and I think while I was studying in Germany, I met a couple of people who were participating in the National Cybersecurity team. So speaking with them, I understood that there is such thing like European Cybersecurity Challenge, and quickly after that, I was very inspired. If I can do that, I can create that initiative for Bulgaria, and basically contacted the Ministry of E-Government, so Ministry of eGov, it's currently called, and the people and so to say contacts from that ministry were very enthusiastic about the idea, and that's, I would say, how it started. They were already in contact with somebody who was living in Bulgaria. His name is Asparur Kavrailov, and he was basically the second person that helped me to put this whole initiative in the workings, right? And soon after that, we were already searching for sponsors. We were already searching for young talents who would like to join the first national team. And I think the rest is history. Probably we did a lot of things to make the initiative happen. Fast forward to today, we have had around 250 participants in the national qualifications now in February, March, and we have currently an extended national team of around 20 people, which is very exciting. Maybe I think it's probably 30 people, but this is very exciting considering the fact how we started, right? It was very less people, and actually that's how I met Victor on first place, right? So this is about the initiative. It's a I would say big achievement for Bulgaria as a country, and the first thing of this kind that we have, which is currently ongoing with its full speed, and we are doing everything that is possible to be done from our side as organizers to make this initiative success. Important just to be said, this is a volunteer action that we are doing there, and most of the people who are participating just do that in their spare time. We are seeing how this is executed in other countries. As an example, that's done by university professors, by the government itself. In our case, it's completely voluntary, right? So everybody is putting some time what they can offer.
Perfect. And how can someone participate in as a competitor or as a contestant?
Absolutely, that's a very good question. We are organizing, first of all, a couple of different, I would say, marketing events, campaigns that we are trying to recruit young talent. On top of that, we have already, so to say, a very good communication with the Ministry of Education. Ministry of Education around end of January is distributing letters to each official governmentally funded university and school in Bulgaria, and every student ideally would get to learn, and every school person, of course, would get to learn about that from their teachers. On top of that, we are doing marketing campaigns on LinkedIn, on Facebook, all the other social networks, and as soon as the campaigns are starting, people can potentially apply or show interest. Basically, they can follow us on Discord, they can follow us on LinkedIn, they can follow us on Facebook, and there they can see when the campaign is starting. As I mentioned, it is usually around end of February, right? And people just need to show up. The only thing they need is internet and a PC, right? And they can participate in the qualifications. In order for them to proceed further to the extended team, they need to score in the first 40 people, 40 to 50 people, and then they will be selected as part of the extended team.
And what is
So
the
that's the only thing.
all right? And what is the age group that's required to participate? The age, you know.
This is also very important to be said. Is the age is set by ENISA, the European Cybersecurity Agency. It starts with 14 years and it ends with 25 years. So the participants needs to be of that age. There are no requirements for them to be studying actively in university or in a school, but just to be first of all in that age, and second of all, they need to have they need to be citizens of the particular country which they're representing. That's a very good question that we would have. And the second part of it is the citizenship. The people who are participating needs to be citizens of the country that they're representing. Meaning, if I'm, as an example, European citizen, move to country B from Bulgaria, I can only represent Bulgaria, not the country where I'm currently residing. Right. So that's a
Okay,
important
so
to
it's
say
not
because we have had such requirements.
it's not a country of residence, it's country of origin. Okay, for
And
those.
just sorry to say it, my friend, it's too late for you already. The age doesn't allow you to participate anymore.
That's because I had a birthday 2 days ago.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I turned 26 again.
Guys, amazing work. What you've done so far, that's truly amazing. I wanted to quickly talk about the CTF challenges. So just to start with, CTF is a challenge which everybody can participate, capture the flag events. That's usually when you have a predefined, initially prepared system which is vulnerable. That's a great achievement, guys. I love what you've done so far. You've done a lot of work, and it's amazing that you're supporting the youth. You're supporting the new generation and the new army of cyber agents in the world. I wanted to quickly talk about the CTF challenges. Basically, just for our audience, most of you probably are familiar. You have heard about CTS, but CTS is a capture the flag event, which means that you have a predefined network of systems which are vulnerable. They have some weak components. It might be on an OS or a system level, or there might be a vulnerability in the network, or it might be an application layer vulnerability which allows the system to be exploited. And usually during the CTF events, you have sometimes you have like a red team and a blue team, but basically the idea is for somebody to penetrate the system, to put the flag on the system, and then to try and protect it so that you can keep your flag. It's like a game. And this way you can teach cybersecurity, you can compete with other cybersecurity experts and professionals, and that's the way to make it in a legal way, to beat the system, to make sure you're better than the system and you're better than the other players by conquering as many systems as possible. But now, maybe let's talk about CTFbazaar. Huh?
Yeah. Victor, I think is a good time to introduce yourself and tell us more how you're improving the CTF experience with your platform, CTF Bazaar.
Yeah, of course. So, hello everyone. My name is Victor Slavov. Very nice to meet you. Very nice to be here at this podcast. So, just a very quick, brief introduction about me. First of all, Evgeni and we met at the Bulgarian National Cybersecurity team. So, I was actually an example of those people that you mentioned. You can be living abroad. You just need to be a Bulgarian national. So, I live in Edinburgh in the UK, and I heard about the Bulgarian national team. I was extremely excited because I really like competing in cybersecurity. So it was actually my first opportunity to do it, and then it was also my last because I was 1 year away from reaching the 25-year mark. So I was the captain of the Bulgarian national team, and that's where we met with Evgeni. So one of the things that we both noticed and we kept discussing as the event happened, we were practicing, then we went to the final event, is we saw it was actually really hard to find CTF challenges. It's a very difficult thing to organize because it requires a very niche set of problems. You know, it's not mathematical problems. It's not like just programs. You need to write specifically vulnerable programs that need to showcase very, very like abstract things. So just as an example, we've been working on some satellite hacking challenges, and this is just not something you can find or everybody could do. So we realized that there's a big need for such CTF challenges. And we decided at the end of the year of last year that, hey, we should actually do something about it. So that's how we founded CTF Bazaar. And with CTF Bazaar, we want to empower pretty much everybody. We're talking academia, universities, like companies, conferences. We want to let them host CTF challenges. And then we want to develop unique challenges for their target audience. So, easy for students or very niche for a specific sector. Basically, everything you say, we do it. Since then, we've been supporting over a dozen different events, and we keep trying to help everyone.
All right. That sounds very interesting. You mentioned something about satellites in space. I think people will be very interested to see a simulation like this. We're not going to be able to show it live here, but the space and the dual-use military stuff is becoming very interesting, especially in Europe. And what is the core problem that you are solving with CTF Bazaar? Why are these CTF challenges helpful to companies and students?
Yeah, so of course. So I would say it's probably a little bit different to each organization, but for students, there's quite a few reasons. So reason number one is it helps you learn a lot of new skills. And usually what you suffer at university is you learn all these textbook definitions, all these languages, you hear about all these amazing things, but you don't really get to use them or to see what their flaws are. I personally believe that to be a very good cybersecurity engineer, you also need to understand how to program, and also vice versa, because you can't do one in isolation of the other. So I have a lot of friends who have done programming, but they just really never quite touched the cybersecurity aspect, and that's an opportunity I think that people really need to see. But also, if you are fresh out of university and you want to start working in cybersecurity, you really need to have some sort of hands-on practice. This is a very practical field, fortunately or unfortunately. So if you just come out with all these books that you've read, it's very hard to actually start working somewhere where people just hand you a program and you need to do something with a real program. It's just very different. So we try to bring this practice to the people, to students. We try to basically give them a simulation of what their job would be, and we try to teach them a diverse set of skills which they would otherwise not be able to get. Again, citing, for example, the satellites or some other very abstract or very niche topics that you just don't really get to see or even hear at university. And for companies, I would say it's just a way to, if you're dealing with cybersecurity as teams, it's a way to sharpen their skills, to help them explore new areas that they haven't seen before. Or if you're just trying to raise awareness, it's a very good way to teach people that have, let's say they're programmers, they haven't really done cybersecurity, to see some common pitfalls. Because a lot of colleagues that I've worked with, they do some things and they never really quite think about, but what if someone tried to abuse that? They always think, oh, surely nobody is actually like, I'm writing code for this amazing use case. Nobody's going to try and hack that, right? And this is a very different mindset that CTFs help you see, and they help you kind of think about that every time that you do something.
I cannot agree more with what you're saying, because of what we're doing with Soul Cyber, there is a lot of people calling us on a daily basis, like, hey, how do I approach the cybersecurity industry? How do I become expert? Can you help me with some guidance on what education I should take to become a cybersecurity expert? And then a lot of people, they go to the university believing that they can go and study ethical hacking and they will become master hackers. And in reality, it doesn't work like that. For example, you know that there is the CISSP certification, which is tailored for information security experts, but this one is more of a theoretical one. It focuses on the policies, procedures, risk assessments, governance, and so on. While we have the offensive security certificates, for example, and they are so much more practical and hands-on, basically. In order to become a red teamer, a pen tester, secure code analyst, you need to have hands-on experience. And I believe that applied universities maybe have better chance of teaching you something useful so that you can become a cybersecurity expert. But based on your experience, what's the relationship between the universities and the CTF challenges? How do they go together?
Yeah, I think this is something that probably isn't currently happening enough, in my personal opinion. This is something that we've been actually actively working on engaging. So we have collaborated with uh, a big university in Bulgaria. I'm not sure how exactly it would be phrased in English, but it's UTP, uh, like Higher University of Telecommunication and Post. I hope that's
Yeah.
the correct way to phrase it. But we've been working with them to basically kind of bridge the gap of theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge. So we've been developing a CTF platform for them, dedicated challenges that are tailor-made for their content. And our goal is to basically combine every piece of theoretical knowledge that they learn with something practical where they can actually test it and apply it. That's the way I've been learning my whole life, and I think that's the best way to be able to immediately apply what you learn. It makes it help stick. And yeah, we've been basically building both CTF challenges for them, and we're working on even bigger things that we can build for them to help them even more simulate what they're learning and simulate the real world. Evgeny, if you have anything to add?
All right. Well, I have a question that popped out right now when I was listening to you. You know, apart from education, a lot of people currently are getting involved both in security and development with vibing tools, or let's say LLM enhanced tools. How do you think this affects deployment and cybersecurity in general?
So, first of all, I want to say I'm actually a big proponent, as in I really support AI,
Yeah.
and I use it a lot. It was actually hard to start using it, but I'm very curious, so I was trying, and I started seeing, wow, AI is actually amazing, and maybe that lasted 1, 2, 3 days of like the honeymoon period, and then I started realizing all the things that as soon as you start believing it's so good and you start trusting it, all the things that it just subtly messes up for you. And a very recent example is I was trying to MVP something, just a very quick prototype. This was not going to be deployed anywhere. So I asked the AI to write it. It was very simple, just front end, back end, just as like a basic skeleton, right? And as I was just going through the code, I realized that it basically was a textbook definition of every vulnerability that could have been implemented. Like there was no path sanitization, so the uploads could have been uploaded anywhere. You could actually like path traverse. You could read any part of the computer, just not even just the website. The entire computer. So there was just zero consideration for security, and that makes sense because AI is not optimized for security. So I think that it is something you can use, but you should be very careful with it. And I think the problem is with vibe coding, a lot of people, they either just don't think about it at all, or they just have no knowledge of cybersecurity. So they vibe code something, they see it turns on, and then just straight to prod. So I think that is a legitimate risk that people really need to think about. And it is something we're going to see more and more as people start deploying code without going through like the old, you could say boring and time consuming, but important process of, vetting your code and making sure it's written in a secure way.
Yep. Evgeny, have you had the experience with this? Do you yourself use AI tools?
Yes, absolutely. I think as Victor already summarized that AI is becoming a fundamental part of our everyday. I use it for many different objectives that I do. I need to say honestly that AI is very useful in our day-to-day tasks on first place, right? I would even say summarizing meetings, summarizing emails, even so to say offering you or suggesting you a quick reply on an email, which is not having so much context, right? Basically saving you a couple of seconds or maybe a couple of minutes. All in all, I use it as well a lot. I think this is going to become something the features that AI is offering today, which we call features, are going to be just a part of some solutions in the future, and they're just going to be functionalities which are integrated in the tools, and we are going to use them every day. Apart from that, AI as a additional adding value, so to say, new technology, if we want to call it, is something that we definitely use. First of all, for helping to get access to way more knowledge than we can in a normal way, right? Synthesizing a lot of information very quickly and providing you access to knowledge which you would need so much more time to gather yourself if you would need to normally, so to say, search it through the internet space. So this is the one thing. The second thing is, of course, in the framework of, in the context of developing, in the context of creating new tools and new technologies. I think we see all the big companies which are on the stage today. They are speaking about usage of AI to reduce, so to say, to not to say to reduce, but to support the manual development processes that they have. So I think that's definitely the case with me as well. For any small type of developments that I would be doing, I think AI is very helpful. So to summarize, I definitely use AI a lot. And I think there is, of course, potential to use that even more. But also on the other side, I'm looking to the different vendors which we're using, as a technology vendors, to start integrating AI to be part of their tooling and part of their processes. It just needs to be part of the flow, in a logical way, right? Not just the usual stuff that we see, chatbots or some RAGs. I would say more functional integration of AI into the workflow. So this is what I'm seeing coming in a lot of tools, and that's what I'm definitely excited about.
But Evgeny, do you see the AI, because we've been recently doing AI pen testing and red teaming, do you think that an AI model can actually pen test, that they can break in the CTF challenge, for example? Do you think that an AI can compete with a pen tester when it comes to exploiting vulnerabilities? Like, what's the competitiveness?
That's definitely a question on the spot. The simple answer is yes. First of all, there is a lot of research that was done, right? I think Google did some research and they have a paper that is opened. I believe OpenAI, if it's not OpenAI, there is another big company which is doing with AI topic that investigated if their model can perform on a very famous CTF and how the model can perform and how much challenges the model can solve. So the help and the advance of AI is real. They can definitely solve some of the solutions, that's for sure. I think we see also many of our participants in the CTFs trying to use AI to solve some of the challenges. So it's definitely there, the usage and the help of AI. In some cases, completely the solution is owned by AI, is possible by AI models, that's for sure. On the other side, the question around pen testings, as this is kind of my favorite side cybersecurity topic, I need to say, as someone who used to be working as a pen tester in the past, definitely there is a lot of advance there. First of all, even 5 or 7 years ago, when I was working as a pen tester and we were using different tools to pen test, there were already tools on the market which I would say we're not using AI in the way we know it now today, 7 years later, but they were still quite advanced in the so-called automated pen testing, right? And now these companies adding the AI advantage and advances of the technology to their solutions, we see definitely companies coming on the market which are offering automated artificial intelligence or agentic, some of them call it, pen testing solutions that are offering a lot of value on the market. So that's for sure. The real value of these solutions is there. They can definitely produce meaningful results and definitely can be of usage. Now, can they completely substitute a pen tester? My personal opinion is not. because still AI is not innovative in that matter. They do not find 0 days, or at least there is some research, but I think the 0 days currently are owned by humans who probably used artificial intelligence to support them to discover these 0 days. But
I can
definitely in
just
the
very
future will be
quickly
exciting. Yes, absolutely.
I can very quickly drop in with I think probably fun experiment or fun experience rather is we played Attack Defense CTF with the Cybersecurity National team maybe a few weeks ago, and I was playing there because it's something I really enjoy. So just very quick for attack defense, because there's two types of CTF. I think you kind of introduced attack defense specifically, but there's basically two types: Jeopardy, attack defense. Jeopardy is you have these puzzles that you solve essentially, and they're completely isolated. It's just you download them, you solve them, you get the flag, you submit the flag, you get points. That's it. Attack defense is very dynamic, where you actively have to protect your server, and then you actively have to hack the opponent's server. And in attack defense, every single second that you are faster than your opponent matters. It's incredibly tough. So basically, I experimented. What happens at the beginning is you get essentially a zip file with all the services, and we're talking like some of them are like, let's say, banking simulations, right? And you have like a database, a backend, a front end, some API. Like you have a huge amount of data. That the biggest problem is how do you traverse all of that in like seconds? Because the faster you are, the more score you get. So I set up AI, and I immediately asked it, give me a summary of the entire folder. And it traversed like 50, 60, 70 files, and it just produced me a summary. So now I didn't need to look and see, okay, what does each file do? I already knew that. And even a step further, I was asking it, do you see any obvious entry points that could be used to penetrate the service? And AI would tell you, yeah, it seems like, for example, it's using SQL, but I don't see any, I don't see a proper usage of statement prepending. So maybe you could do SQL injection. So it immediately threw me 5, 6 different attack paths that you could take. So is it going to solve it for you end to end? At the moment, probably not. In the future, I think it might. But at the moment, it's certainly helpful to give you a kickstart. So, instead of reading through all of that, I was ready to start in maybe 2 minutes instead of 2 hours. So it made a very big difference. So I think that's a very nice practical use case for it.
I think when it comes to automation, AI is brilliant. Guys, that we recently deployed and released our Kikimora agentic threat and vulnerability management platform, with the main goal to automate a lot of vulnerability management tasks, basically to automate the analysis of the results, the risk, the risk estimation, the evidence collection, and basically a lot of operational stuff when it comes to threat and vulnerability management. So we've been researching a lot of AI solutions on the market, the ones automating the pen test tasks, and the one automating the red teaming and even reverse engineering. And what I can say from my experience is that mostly AI helps to automate. It could be it could eliminate 80, 90% of the time that you usually spend as a red teamer, as a pen tester. Where I see it lacks is probably the business logic flows. I think it's great at discovering CVEs and maybe comparing the software version against a specific signature, discovering trivial stuff, sorting the information, analyzing and organizing the evidence in a way that you can use it to discover something much faster, which in a challenge is definitely a great thing. When it comes to business logic flows, I think still a manual pen tester can do much better compared to an automated tool. At least that's my experience, which actually points me to the next question, because when we're hiring someone, we are definitely looking for seniors, right? We also provide automated pen testing, but when it comes to service quality, the manual stuff is much better. It can discover, usually you can discover a lot of things if you spend more time reverse engineering something, or focusing on specific flow, or writing your own piece of code for a 0 day, like discovering a 0 day. I think still the manual knowledge and experience of a human being is still better than the AI part. However, when we're hiring people, we're looking for the most senior ones. In my opinion, if you want to be a pen tester, it's either 1 or 0. You're either a very good one or you're not. I mean, you cannot be like a mediocre pen tester. You cannot just discover half of the flaws, you know. Nobody's going to hire you if you're like kind of good pen tester. So with the CTF challenges, do you have like different levels of the challenges in order to become a senior one, to like graduate in a way that you discover the most advanced vulnerabilities? There should be some levels. You start discovering the easier ones first, and then you graduate, or how does it work with the CTF challenges?
Yeah, so it really depends, and this is probably the best part is that it it just really depends, and every person's definition of hard is different. So you mentioned, people that just beginners, their definition of hard is very different from someone that's been doing this for an entire career. So when we create our challenges, we really have to ask what is our target audience, and we've actually had this quite a few times where we think that we know our audience and we say, okay, this is what's going to be hard for them. We make a few hard ones, a few medium ones, a few easy ones, and then we showcase it, and then the client comes back and says, okay, the easy one is way too hard, the hard one is like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. So we've had a few reality checks in that sense. So it's very hard to get it right, and it's very important to get it right. So we've been trying to create basically a very wide scope of challenges, and we make sure that they're the right ones for the customer. So if you're hiring someone and you want to hire someone for a senior role, we are going to create something that is really hard and something that requires just thinking outside of the box. This is probably what you really look for. Someone, as you mentioned, AI can really do the basic things, the common things like SQL injection, the trivial things, but it needs someone who really has been doing this for a while to see, wait, there's something out of the ordinary here. Like, why is this endpoint, for example, public, not private? This is not something AI is going to think about. So you want to, if you're creating a very hard challenge, you want to have something that's very subtle, something that only somebody who's been looking at this for a while is going to notice. That does not look right. Like, there's something, this is not written in the way that it usually is. Like, why is it different? So I think it's very important, and it's it's a very difficult thing, but I think we're getting good at it.
Well, one of the things, because you both have experience in education and also have the unique perspective to be living in different countries, right? Cybersecurity generally is concerned universal in terms of level of education, globally. I think we're recognizing that the threats come from everywhere, so essentially the education should be equal in every country, right? But I believe that current education systems lag behind because of AI. Like, let's say threat actors, LLM is out, the next day they know how to use it, right? In traditional education system, we will have to wait for around 5 to 10 years to adapt to something like this, right? So the question is, what type of training should you be doing as a young person who wants to enter the cybersecurity field, and how to avoid the so-called tutorial hell that everyone has been living since the invention of YouTube, right?
Yeah, I think honestly, just practice, in my personal opinion, and maybe somebody will disagree with me, because I also appreciate that you need to know, you need to have some fundamentals, but practice is very important. And as a student, I actually personally never actually had any formal cybersecurity education. So I graduated as a software engineer. My whole life I've been around software engineers. All the cybersecurity that I've ever learned and done comes through just being curious, like reading on various things that are happening online, trying things, going to CTFs. For me personally, CTFs are a big thing, and just being curious. I think probably in cybersecurity, the most important trait you can have is just curiosity. Curiosity and just digging deeper into things, just not being satisfied with, okay, this is working, I'm deploying it. Just asking yourself, okay, but how is this working? Is it working right? Could it be working in a way that I can't see that is currently working? So I think just being curious and also proactive, having that practice is what I think makes somebody really good at cybersecurity, and obviously allows them to to stay on top of things. Because as you said, the trickle down effect is real. By the time something new comes down to the textbooks at school, they're already basically obsolete. So you need to be actively seeking out new things and trying them even before they've made the headlines. I think this is very important.
Yeah.
Evgeny, if you have any different thoughts on this?
I think it's exactly as you say. You need to exercise. That's my experience with cyber as well. When I started in the university, there was no cybersecurity course that was taught in the way that we know it today. So there was definitely the moment of practicing and being interested and being, so to say, hungry, yeah, for knowledge, if we want to say it like this way. So that's, I think you summarized it pretty well. With the people, the young people, especially who are now into more and more the AI field, we see people who wants to do only AI. I think their success is partially because, as you said, they want to take that model, even when it's open source, like they want to take DeepSeek. They want to see how the model is created, what are the values there, how is this tuned, so to say, the tuning of the model, and that's how they success, and that's how they come up with new ideas and yeah, new, I would say, innovation even in the AI field.
Yeah, well, I think we are aligned on these, on the lagging behind. I think one of the core differences between cybersecurity and the other industries when it comes to AI that it's growing exactly at the same rate. With the, let's say, the threat actors and the defenders grow at exactly the same rate because everyone has access to the same tools, right? Let's say there's no enterprise paywall to use DeepSeek, so whatever we have, they have. So essentially, the fight is continuous every day. It can be a 0-day. Cloud can leak their instructions again, for example. You know, the Copilot bugs, the Replit theft, and all these things. So they can happen every day, regardless of the model that you're using or the platform. If you are connected to AI models or you're using them for something, you're exposed by design because they, as Victor said, they don't think security first. This is a coding tool, not a security tool. So people need to be very careful when they participate in any form of AI enhanced or vibe coding projects. Before you deploy or anytime that you have any form of input from users or storing data, you need to become security conscious. You know, for presentation portfolio websites, probably not so much. You know, what's the worst thing? Your site is down. You put it up, you know, it's all good. But I saw, you know, you have listed on your website several very, for me at least, very exciting things about simulations and what are your plans for the future. And given that the CTF's primary goal is education, obviously you're gonna try to get involved as soon as possible with students in universities. Can you share with us what are your future goals in supporting this type of CTF-based education? What is the? I saw one of the things in the simulations. You have on your website, you listed some simulations in your future plans. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, of course. So I think currently, like top priority focus is expanding CTFs from these small puzzles and these small like isolated challenges that you just download, you solve, and then you put the solution, aka the flag, to get points. So we want to expand that and create entire networks that obviously are going to be much more representative. Because let's be real, when you're doing real life cybersecurity, you want, rarely at least, you'll be given just a single binary file and you're told, hey, there's something malicious here, just figure it out. Usually it's, if you're on the defending side, you just get woken up at 4 in the morning, somebody says, hey, we got hacked, help. And then you have to figure it out. Like you just enter, you start looking at the logs, you start looking at, okay, these are all my servers. Where is, how far did they get? What is being done? You know, what has been damaged? So you need to be able to learn to navigate these complex environments. I think this is also something that probably separates somebody very tenured from somebody who's just getting started. And this is the thing that we want to really bring in the university because, again, this is much more representative of real life. So we're talking basically cyber ranges where you've got multiple machines, you've got multiple servers, you have networks with different services interacting. So you can create something much more elaborate, something basically that mimics, let's say, your average like small to middle-sized business. That is, I think, our next goal for the future.
Quick addition to what Victor just summarized. So First of all, the cyber ranges, that's the topic that we definitely want to proceed with. He personally also has created something which is really nice, super interesting. I hope that soon we can have that finalized and we can show it to more and more people, so it will be available to purchase. The second thing which we were also thinking was cyber ranges, but in the sense digital twins, right? So can we replicate as an example, industrial factory, which is having a particular digital footprint, to be digitally, so to say, visualized, digitally sort of virtualized, and in a way to be possible to penetrate it or to be possible to defend it in a way. So this is the so-called digital twins, and that's definitely an area which we want to observe in the future. It's not on the roadmap that you have seen on our website, but it is already in our thinking process, how and what would be the challenges and the needs that we would have to create such an environment.
Guys, can you tell me, based on your experience, now we know that the best hackers are from Russia, from North Korea, from China, maybe Israel, right? Or it might be the ones from the United States, but it's usually those originating from those countries and living in the United States. But yeah, I mean, Bulgaria as well. The guys with the hoodies down there in the basement, they are among the best in the world. But now, I assume in the challenges you see many different like participants from different countries. Like, what's your feedback? Which country has the best hackers? Like, what do you see on the CTF challenges?
I personally, from my experience, don't think this is really a statement that you can make. I think it really depends, and people focus on different things, right? I think you're mentioning Russia. I think Russia in particular, it just you see hacking much more there because first of all, just the political situation. It, they're kind of they're forced in a sense to do a lot of hacking for things that they can't get, and also just because of the political situation, it's very hard to go and get people there. So you just see more people basically allowing themselves to do it. Let's say compared to somebody in the US who, if they went on and hacked something, chances are they're just going to get, maybe a life in prison. So I think.
And not if you're Kevin Mitnick, though.
Kevin Mitnick.
Not if you're Kevin Mitnick and they ask you to work for the agencies, yeah.
I mean, it depends. But I think we see, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've seen really, really strong hackers, really strong players from pretty much every country. I think, yeah, like obviously bigger countries are going to have more representation, but I think we've seen people from the Netherlands, from Germany, from America, obviously Russia. Russia has one of the strongest attack defense teams. That's for sure. And yeah, even Bulgaria, we have some really strong players here. It just, I think, I think it's all over the world.
But as you mentioned, Bulgaria, like, do you see Bulgarian students like getting the top positions, or how do they compete with the rest of the countries?
Yeah, I think Bulgaria is having probably on an individual basis, like we have some skilled people, but overall, I think just we're lacking the amount of people that bigger countries do. So I don't know whether this is just due to the population or people having different interests or just CTF not being so popular. I think we see other countries like Germany just have just a sheer more amount of people that are participating. So, even as Evgeni said, we have 250 people, which is a lot, like, wow. I didn't even imagine that would be a thing. Germany has like 2,000 people, right? So just based on sheer numbers, they have a lot more people. I know the United Kingdom, they're participating this year as well. They had so many participants that they had to hold an extra round to basically try and seed out people before they could even seed out people because they just couldn't manage with all the people. I think Bulgaria has definitely skilled individuals. Probably just the sheer amount of them is not as much as other countries, but if more people get into cyber and more people get to know cybersecurity, then I only see that number improving. So I'm positive.
All right, and I have a follow-up question on this. One of the differences between, being a, let's say, traditional, let's say, penetration tester and participating in these challenges, is the teamwork, right? CTF challenges require you to work with other people that you might not necessarily know. And in my experience, in the, let's say, the education itself in Bulgaria is not focused on teamwork. I think this might be a kind of a result, in a Western education, the focus is starting from things like some specific school exercise. They're not focused on absorbing knowledge, but rather having fun and like working in a team. They're much more comfortable. And I think that this might be one of the parameters required to run effective cybersecurity teams as well. Is that so in your experience?
I think teamwork is obviously very important for this particular competition, for example. Absolutely. I think from my education, at least, we're talking just secondary education, higher education, not university. I did the university here in the UK. I guess I could compare it in that sense, but I wouldn't really say Bulgaria had much less team-oriented events. Maybe. Maybe, yeah. Honestly, I think in my personal education, I would put it pretty much on the same level. I think what is lacking in Bulgaria, though, is absolutely the practical aspect. And cybersecurity is a very, very practical field. So I know from comparing with my friends who ended up studying in Bulgaria that they come out of university and they can do so much more math than me, for example, absolutely. But they really haven't touched in practice nearly as many things as we have covered in my university, which I still think is not nearly as much as it should have been. So I think probably the main thing that's lacking in Bulgaria, honestly, is just having like practical events, having a practical opportunity for you to do teamwork. We have, I think, plenty of let's write this coursework together kind of things, but that's very different from having actual teamwork. And I think that's the events that we as a company are trying to also increase.
The students should maybe change their practices. Instead of let's go write our homework, is let's get into the database of Uni and fix our grades. There's a much better practical work, right? Yeah. I'm just kidding. Of course.
Don't do this at home and at university.
Do this at uni, right? So.
The universities and the schools needs to step up a bit more, right? So definitely there is the need of the educational system, so to say, to be providing at least some basics in that regard. I think that's exactly where Victor and myself stepped in to support the university that he mentioned in the beginning. They have realized that need to have, so to say, practical educations, right? So this is definitely probably the case with most of the institutions. And I think there is no other way than just getting some additional help from external companies who are, so to say, specializing in that topic. So I believe that's the next step that we would see, and we can definitely learn from United States in this regard because they do that all the time, right? We are looking at how the United States is training and organizing their national teams. We see the involvement of the government. We see the involvement of private companies.
Okay, guys. So when I was preparing for a pen tester, like to gain some practical experience, back in the days, I was doing some CTF walkthroughs, some vulnerability discovery write-ups, and then at some point, YouTube videos, they started getting more popular. And now with what you're doing, does it make sense to have video recordings of the CTF events, of the CTF challenges? If you're watching something, I guess your way of understanding is much different. You can gain a lot of knowledge by watching something for a short period of time compared to if you're reading a book for, I don't know, for 20 hours. It's simply much easier to gain information faster. So do you actually record those CTF challenges, or is there some CTF challenges recorded on the internet?
I think challenges, as in the actual problems, yes, you can find basically all of them. I think most CTFs release their challenges and then as well as their solutions. So it's kind of nice because you spend, let's say, 2 days working on something really hard. You couldn't figure it out, or you were missing the last piece, and then you wait just to see how people solved it. So that's definitely something that's happening. Actual recordings, as in people solving the CTFs, actually, I would say it's really not common at all. And I think it might actually be a niche that still hasn't been covered. I would say reading on or the write-ups of how things are solved, it's definitely going to give you kind of the knowledge of what different attacks there could be. But what I think will be really nice is being able to see how somebody that's been doing CTFs actually approaches things, because this is something you don't really learn at all unless you are next to someone and then you look at their screen. For example, if you are just given a website, like how do you first start exploring it? Because if you just start clicking around without having any kind of mission or any kind of checklist in your mind, it's not going to be as efficient as someone who's done this 100 times and they have a very specific set of things that they check for. So yeah, I think while you can find the written solutions, the like video tutorials of people that are seasoned in doing it, I think this is something that that would be nice to have, but it's not very common at all.
Just imagine how sexy it's gonna be to watch live hacking events, hacking activities, like teams competing with each other, right?
I personally would love to see that. We're waiting. If you guys who are watching want to see something like this, put it in the comments below. We'll think about organizing something like this in the future.
We'll drop a link, by the way, to CTF Bazaar and the other resources that we discussed in the episode down in the episode description. So make sure to drop your comments, what you like, what you dislike. If you have some CTF recommendations, maybe you have something on your mind about how CTF the CTF industry can further develop.
And yeah, before we close, guys, what should we expect from CTF Bazaar in the near future, and how should people stay in touch with you guys in case they want to organize something for their own company or university?
I think you should definitely visit a website, and we have a bunch of links there to reach out to us. We have a Discord, we have an email. If you want to talk to us, we're more than happy to work on everything. If you just have any suggestions even, or if you think you have something that is really cool but you haven't seen, definitely I personally would love to hear any kind of crazy ideas. As you mentioned, even having a live hacking CTF, I would honestly love that. So yeah, definitely reach out to us. We are also on LinkedIn. You can drop us a message there. And Evgeni and me, we're happy to talk to you.
All right,
Absolutely.
perfect.
We're excited. We have prepared a lot of new CTFs for everybody and a lot of interesting cyber ranges, which are being, so to say, prepared, cooked. So a lot of the new topics are being cooked. So stay tuned. And we are soon going to announce also something very exciting, which is coming live probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So yeah, a lot of new things coming. So check out LinkedIn on website. That would be the first place.
All right. Thank you guys for joining. It was our pleasure to host you, and we're looking forward to working together on something.
Yes, thank you so much. It was very nice to be here.
And until the next time.
Until next time.
Try harder.
Until next time.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.